Hello and welcome to Biomutant's Let's Play. This is your host, I guess host is the right word, Sal the Bard, and we're going to be playing Biomutants. This game came out on March 25th, and, excuse me, I said March 25th, meaning 25th, and I really enjoyed it. My first playthrough was a ton of fun, and I wanted to play it for the goons.
Encode your DNA.
So our first choice that we have to make is what race are we going to play, and there's 6. Per the thread, we are going to be playing a FIP, which is this little guy right here. FIPs are usually better for Psy-Freaks or more key-oriented characters, but honestly, stats in this game don't really matter. So we're going with a FIP.
Define your genetic structure.
The character creator is really funny. As you can see, kind of moving the cursor around, you get real different looking characters. This abomination here. Since we're going to be playing a sentinel, we're going to be prioritizing strength and vitality. Kind of leaning a little more towards strength because we want to be actually able to kill things. So we are going to stop right about here. This should be good.
Choose a genetic resilience.
We don't really need to pick any specific genetic resistance because they're all pretty straightforward to get up to 100%. In addition, pretty much anytime you go to one of the biomes that has one of the genetic resistances, so you'll come to different biomes that are either polluted with heat, biohazard, cold, or radioactivity. The first time you come to one, it'll usually lead you on a quest to go find a suit that gives you total resistance to that, so it makes these kind of unnecessary. The only one that you can't ever really get like 100% innate resistance to is hypoxia.
Choose your first style.
We're just going to sort of go with this thing
Pick
right
your
here.
main color.
I had a request to make the character blue, so we are going to make the character blue. Oddly enough, the character creator, I feel like, never really gets a good
Choose
color
your
on it.
detail color.
Because, like, I don't think I look very blue here, but then when I start the game,
Pick a
it'll look pretty
class.
blue. So we have 5 classes that we can choose from. So Deadeyes, they are incredibly powerful. When you reload your ranged weapon, you can do a perfect reload, and it will give the next magazine 20% damage.
Commando.
Commandos are just your straightforward gun users. They get 10% to all ranged weapons.
Psy-Freak.
Psy-Freaks are the equivalent of a caster class. They use a lot of key energy to do magical quote-unquote attacks.
Saboteur.
Saboteurs are what you would consider like your typical DPS agility class. They dual wield, they're fast, lots of dodges.
Sentinel.
And then finally Sentinel, which is what we're going to play, is your tanky class. They get 10% increased, or they get, the base armor is increased by 10. I don't know how good that's going to be down the road, but we shall see.
Sentinel chosen. Good choice.
Alright, so here we go. So we are starting the game now, and we're
Here's
coming up to
somebody
our
with
first.
a troubled past, drawn into the spotlight of a story that's already begun.
Okay, we're coming up to our first decision here, which is going to be, are we going to emulate light or dark?
We're already at a crossroads. Choosing a path in life is that fork in the road where you make a choice or simply stop living. But for you, it's not only a crossroad, but a choice. A reflection of your key, the primal energy that flows through everything.
Okay, so whenever you have a speech that has 2 choices, as you see here, the left choice is I'm dark, as in strength and power, and the right choice is color me light for freedom and loyalty. Whenever you have a choice like this, typically the choice on the right is going to be the quote good choice. The one on the left is going to be the quote bad choice, and if there's one in the middle, it's the neutral choice, so we're going to go ahead and select Color Me Light.
Let me introduce myself. I'm the light and bright side of you, or your inner voice to be precise, an echo of balance and consequence of your actions as you move forward.
So, again, we are going to press right, and we're going to go from left to right, and get on You Get It, I'm Bright.
Seems more like you're being light-headed if you ask me, but you'll come around, eventually.
But what comes around goes all the way back around. So, it's better to stick to your instincts. You can't fight what's in your nature.
In your nature, and here I was hoping we'd be all about natural selection, survival of the strongest, and so forth. If that's not instinct, then I don't know what is.
Ha! Natural selection is all about even.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I hit the mouse on accident. So we're going to go to the right.
Right is always right.
Even though it doesn't really matter. As we go through this fence here, we are going to come up to the first.
Stories of death and the bodies left behind. A reminder that we're at the mercy of nature and the one that preys on others.
Okay, so here is going to be kind of the beginner combat tutorial.
Do you remember the beast that shattered your family? Or did you choose to forget? You turned your back on our world and got lost in your own. Meanwhile, the predator only grew stronger. Better make a run for it. This is not the time nor place to end
I'm
this
not
story.
using a Xbox 360 controller. I'm using an 8-bit controller that has the Switch Pro button layout. So sometimes I forget which buttons I actually have to
It was
press.
best to run and live to fight another day. Let us hope you're ready for it when it comes.
Okay, so coming up here, we're going to have our first battle against multiple small enemies. It was kind of hard to see in the Lupin fight, but as enemies are about to hit you, they will have these three like squiggly lines that'll appear over their head. If you hit the left bumper button and then press X, you'll parry the attack and then strike back, and then if you press left bumper again, you'll air juggle, so hopefully you'll get to see that.
The predator isn't the only threat. The wildlife started to mutate when the end of days began, and the tree of life started to die. Misery.
There we go. So the initial combat is a little basic and a little straightforward, but Yeah, so the first combat is a little basic and a little straightforward, but as you level up, you'll start to unlock some other combat abilities. So here we have what's called a top mod for your gun. When you equip this to your gun, it gives you that magazine that you have, it gives you an additional 15 electric damage. And you can't equip these like I will here. These little green pouches are full of health, so anytime you open one, you will get some sort of health item. And then there's a lot of things to kind of look at, little nooks and crannies to explore. And so here we got a pretty cool hat and some energy packs, which we won't really use those. Alright, so coming up to our next attack, this is going to be a combination of small guys and one big guy.
It only means death, but some have adapted to the new environment and changed with it. Evolution has its ways.
Oh god. Some of these big guys, it is incredibly hard to see when the pairing window is open. Alright, well, we'll just do that the easy way. So, in this game, your character is a terrible swimmer. That never gets better as the game progresses, and different liquids have different effects. Like, so this sludge right here, if you stay in it too long, as you can see him sinking, you can actually drown in that, and you really can't jump out of it once you're in it. It just will just keep on sucking you down. Normal water you can swim in, but as you will see later, your character is a very ineffective swimmer. Okay, so there I parried and was able to stun and then juggle the big guy. Alright, and then here comes a new type of enemy, which is shielders. They are effectively immune to long-range attacks when they're shielded like that. I'm actually going to take out the small guys first, because the shielder by himself doesn't really pose a huge threat. Alright, so now let's fight the shielder. Alright, so now we got our first level up. So, we're going to go into the level up screen and we're going to go ahead and level up our character after we loot everything. Okay, so... Alright, so anytime you level up, you gain plus 10 into any specific stat. So, to start out with, we are going to kind of put our focus on vitality and strength. After we've kind of done those for a while, we are going to focus on agility and luck, finally charisma, and then last intelligence. So your character is a master of a combat style called Wong Fu. You have different Wong Fus for each of the weapon types. So there's unarmed Wong Fu, one-hand slash, dual wield, two-hand slash, and crush. Since we're using crush, we're going to go ahead and unlock the first Wong Fu crush, which is called Mercury Drop. And now we will have a more powerful attack when we are attacking enemies.
Look, an emergency box from the once was. A rare sight.
So when you're down on all fours running like this is the character's sprint.
That pipe looks weak. The claw bar should come in handy. Whoa. It's time to find a way out of this place. No, really, I mean it.
So your character does have an innate double jump, which is nice. This is another type of enemy. Usually you will see these kinds of nests in biomes where there's environmental damage. In this one, you don't have to worry about it, but usually these morks you'll find these morks in more polluted
areas. That
areas.
affect the cellular coding strands of any living being when absorbed, including you.
Wow, I biffed that up pretty bad. Alright, there we go, Mercury Drop. These enemies, the morks, they give you bioblobs when you kill them, and you can use bioblobs to learn new key abilities, and you can use them to learn
Not the easiest way to get up.
To upgrade your resistances. Okay, so we're about to get the first little bit of plot exposition here, so I will be quiet.
Toxanol built vessels called arcs to save themselves from the impending doom. But was it too late? It is only from the flight logs of the single arc they left behind that we know other arcs traveled through the sky and beyond. It seems those that came before us never lost hope in finding a new home for their kind.
This is another common puzzle type that you'll see in this game. So most of the puzzles in this game revolve rotation of some kind. So as you can see, you can cycle through the different buttons and the light comes on. You can rotate them to the left and rotate them to the right. We want to rotate them so that all the colors match up. The less intelligent your character, the fewer moves you get. So let's go ahead and we'll solve this one real quick. And we're going to have some more plot.
There are few records of the chain of events that led to the big apocalypse eons ago, but it's clear the world wasn't prepared for how recklessly the Toxanol Corporation would make its mark on the world. Their rare earth mining and nuclear industries generated tons of waste, and without consideration for the future, they dumped it all in landfills until they ran out of space. That's when they made the big mistake. They began dumping the toxic waste in the surf just off the coast instead, assuming that it would sink and decay with time. And they were right. but no one was prepared for what was about to unfold. Once in the surf, the radiation interfered with the genetics of the wildlife and created bizarre mutations in their offspring. It had an inconceivable impact on biodiversity and the entire ecosystem. The world as they knew it crumbled as nature retaliated. It would never be the same again, and what remained of it became ours.
Alright, so we sort of see sort of the main story hook, which is that the world that we're in is polluted and irradiated beyond all hope. And we are going to try to figure out a way to get off this planet.
The sound of spark metal going pew-pew is never a good thing. It's coming from behind that door. A warning label. The box looks like a potential brain melt.
So, you'll see kind of you'll see kind of how the main puzzles work. One of the nice things about these puzzles with electricity is that they almost always have wires coming off of them, and if you don't know where to go, you can usually just follow the wires, and you'll see this door. So let's go ahead and solve this puzzle.
It's going to take a bit of puzzling to short-circuit the door.
This one is just wicked easy because we only have to spin one around.
There you go.
Alright, so now we're about to meet another important character. Out of date.
The wheeled one is outnumbered. You'd better help him out. Made to be broken. That's the last of them. Let's talk to the
Alright,
wheel
so that was
one
pretty
with their back
straightforward again.
lines. Someone always thinks they can beat you.
I said the more you go into this game, the more advanced the combat gets, and I like the combat a lot in this game.
He wants to thank you for taking his side against the scavengers. He sounds familiar. You just can't figure out why. He presents himself as out of date. He knows he's way overdue, but he hasn't given up. He doesn't seem surprised that you don't recognize him. You were just a child back then, the night everything changed. There have been rumors of a one-eyed Ronin seen outside the Great Wall, and he's happy to see it's true. The legend of the one-eyed child that grew up as an outcast is old and sad. The child could have been anyone, but the evil it had fled had left a mark, a facial scar to remember the past. There's no doubt you're the child, and that what Lupa Lupin did to your village, your Muma and Popsy, was the beginning of the end. He says it has taken you a long time to bring the past back up to the present, to find your way back, but he's grateful you have. It was after the attack that the unity fell apart. Your Muma's disciples divided and formed tribes as a reaction to the blight that had fallen upon the land. Had it not been for the Tree of Life, no one would have survived. He hopes you at least remember the tree.
Alright, so we have our first flashback quest here. This flashback quest used to be fairly long, but Experiment 101 was kind of realized it didn't need to be that long.
Asks if you were tired, as it's a bit of a hike here from the village. He wonders if your Mooma knows you are here. You're such a good child, so you probably did. Even the young forget. He understands why you came all the way out here, to see them, the potato people. The potato people, or Nono, are a wonder, somehow interlinked with this little tree here, fueling its source of life. You might be right. Like potatoes, they're packed with energy, an excellent source of ki. The Nono prefer to hide in glitter grass. He says you should get over there and ruffle it. See if you can make one come out of hiding.
So yeah, so like if you see here, the tree is here, only 20 meters away. Originally, the tree was like all the way back here, and then you had to run, and there used to be a cave that you had to run through to get to the Nono. But Experiment 101 is good and changed it so that this is much more compact and easier.
You found one. You should be proud. They don't come out for everyone. The Nono's ki energy is just what the Pensai needs to complete its cycle and grow into a tree of life. Only time will tell. At least his intention is to dedicate his life to it. He has the feeling the fate of the world depends on it. You'll need a net to catch the Nono, and he wants you to use his, but asks you to be gentle. The Nono are sensitive beings, and embody...
Oh my god, what the hell? There we go.
You handle that net like you've never done anything else. He's impressed. One day, he hopes the tree will have grown tall enough to sustain the world. But today, your focus is getting this one to be...
Ah, sorry. Keep telling myself to let the full speech play out. I like that the tree is a little DNA strand. That's pretty, I think that's a pretty nice little subtle touch.
Now that you've seen the Nono's connection with the tree with your own eyes, you have no reason to doubt. From this day on, he'll make nurturing the Pensai into a tree of life, a life goal, not only for our village's sake, but for all of us, everyone. One day, the land won't be as peaceful. Not even your Mooma will be able to protect us. He says you'd better hurry back to the village before your Mooma comes looking for you. You did good here today. No, she's got lots on her mind and needs rest after the raid last night on the Lupin camp with her disciples. Wonders if they let the Predator family live or not. He lost you there for a while, but no memory is alone. It's part of a trail you can follow. He says he remembers every single day he devoted to growing the Tree of Life, but now he's afraid it might be in vain. The tree started to die when the end of days begun. and it wasn't long after that that the World Eaters arrived. The genetic evolution that occurred after the apocalypse that Toxanol Corporation inflicted on the land set the World Eaters' DNA into overdrive. His friend Gizmo is working on a Mekton and needs help defeating the Jumbo Puff at the end of the West Route. Wiz is still repairing his octopod to confront the Merc Puff that dwells deep down under the surface at the end of the Northwest Route. Nocco has tamed the midget and is preparing to take on the Hoof Puff at the end of the East Route. Finally, Goop is almost done with the Goo Glide, a machine able to ride the waves of the surf all the way out to the Porky Puff at the end of the route to the southeast. Out of Date says his friends are gearing up to stop the World Eaters. There's one at the end of each route. The road ahead won't be easy, but he's counting on your support. His friends aren't strong enough to end this on their own. He wants you to understand that you'll all die if the tree isn't saved. Regardless, you'll meet again once you've played your part in the tribe war and the situation with the World Eaters.
And here we have the net.
You're getting the hang of it.
Alright,
Quickest
and
way out
now
is through the roof where they
we are
came
on
in,
the home
and the
stretch
rope
of
looks
finishing
strong
up the
enough to climb.
tutorial. I don't know if the hyper short tutorial is just a thing because I've already played through it once, or just this is how the tutorial is for everybody.
Know that the Tree of Life is dying. Its days are numbered. Without help, it can't endure the environmental change and assault from the World Eaters.
And fade into game logo. Alright, we just got a few more minutes to go, and then we will be done with the first episode of this series.
A signpost maps it out for the cartographically challenged.
So throughout the game, you will find these yellow flags. These are fast travel points, and for some inexplicable reason, you piss on them.
Let's see.
So while it's not readily apparent, the world of this game is freaking insanely massive. And yeah, it's huge. Alright, and we're gonna get up to... We have one more decision to make, and then we will call it a night.
Must be the World Eater that chewed off Out of Date's leg. You'll need a hat trick to bring that down. Look, a survivor. Glad to see. He's heard the stories about the terror inflicted by the World Eaters to other enclaves, but never expected one to come all the way here. He worries there won't be much left to save if this continues, even if the Tree of Life survives the attack. He doesn't know what your connection is to this place, but something tells him you've stayed true to your heart. Anyway, he needs help and says it's by your actions you'll be judged, not by your intentions. He's grateful for that. You still seem to have a spark of light in you.
That's a spark of light in you!
What's there to like about light? It hurts to look at.
Not as much as it hurts to look at you.
Always making this personal.
And you're always trying to pretend it's not.
There's Out of Date again. He must have missed something important. Out of Date says you will make a better stand against the World Eaters with the support of a tribe, and there are 2 nearby. The Myriad tribe is likely to be a good match as they act on the understanding of the greater good and have a code of honor. Regardless of who you choose, it won't be easy, as the conflict between the tribes is worse than ever, teetering on the brink of war. The Myriad's conviction to stop the World Eaters began when the Leviathans rose from the depths of the surf. Siding with the Myriad's movement for wholeness in a fragmented world might seem like the logical thing to do, but is it the right thing? One thing's certain, though. Destiny arrives all the same. The Jagni tribe only ever had one conviction: to bring balance to the world by wiping out the weak. They believe a cleansing is necessary to restore the world, and want to let the World Eaters bring down the Tree of Life. But siding with Jagni isn't necessarily a bad thing. Fate will find a way. Out of Date says someone needs to break the stalemate and shift the balance of power to either Jagni's or Myriad's side. He believes the tribe Sifus, Myriad especially, will listen to you and expects you to pay at least one of them a visit and play your part. Out of Date will be waiting for you beneath the Tree of Life if you lose track of what you need to do.
Alright, we are almost done here. We are gonna go...
Another fork in the road. It's either the tunnel or the motor bridge. What'll it be?
We are gonna get up to the fort of the Myriad, but we are not gonna go in, and we're just gonna end it there. One thing I'm gonna do this run, you can find...
It's unusual that natural tunnels like this still exist. Most of them got flooded.
One thing I'm going to do this run is, as you are progressing through the world, you always find armor. Armor always comes pre-assembled. Weapons, however, don't. You can build your own weapons. You can also find ultimate weapons. I will not be using any of the ultimate weapons because they are pretty good. Alright, so outside of the fort that we're about to go to are little trenches that are filled with some rooms. We're going to go loot those and see if we can get anything useful in there.
This area was beautiful before the tribe war began. Look at it now. It's a war zone.
we got some gear. That's cool. Or some weapon parts, I should say. I am not sure what that is. Alright, and that is everything as far as loot in this area, so next we're going to head over to the Myriad Fort. I'm really amazed at how good this game looks.
Fortress. Will they be friends or foe? You should head up there. That way you'll know.
I still am really blown away by how good this game looks. I just think it looks so good. Even though my computer is not, you know, top of the line by far, I still think even on older hardware this game looks pretty incredible. And this isn't even the beautiful part. The beautiful part is on the other side of this mountain range over here.
Let's see.
Alright, thank you so much for joining me for part 1 of Biomutant, and I will be back soon with part 2 as we investigate the War of the Tribes and see what we can do to help the Myriad spread the light across the world. Have a great day. Bye.